So one of the things we've talked about at length here on the channel is that Alabama was going to have a big month of July in recruiting, and that's exactly what we've seen. And today, we need to break down the newest addition to the Crimson Tide's 2024 recruiting class, four-star tight end out the state of Georgia, Caleb Odom, and why this is such a fantastic addition. Before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited that Caleb Odom chooses the Crimson Tide? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below, as those interactions seem small. They are massive to content creators such as myself, and both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But having said all of that, let's jump right into this. And as always, who is Caleb Odom? Well, Caleb Odom is not only one of the most gifted players in the class of 2024, he is one of the most intriguing players in the class of 2024. If we look, he comes in as a top 100 player in the nation, regardless of position, specifically the number 64 prospect in the nation per the 24/7 Sports Composite, a top 5 tight end, and one of the top players in the state of Georgia, a state that is absolutely loaded in this cycle. And one of the reasons why I say Caleb Odom is such an intriguing athlete is because he stands 6'5", 215 pounds. He has the frame where once he gets into a college strength and conditioning room, he'll be able to add that size without sacrificing any of the athleticism, which is exactly what you want. But whenever you turn on the film, he's got legitimate wide receiver ability. In fact, I think if you switched out tight end for wide receiver on his recruiting profile, nobody would bat an eyelash. That's genuinely how gifted of a wide receiver he is. When you watch the film, he runs really good routes. He's beating guys with long speed. He's beating guys with burst. He's high pointing the football. He's using his size, his physicality to box out defenders, winning those 50-50 type balls, which is exactly what you want to see, especially with someone who will be playing the tight end position. The one thing you don't see a whole lot of, in fairness, is him lining up on the line of scrimmage. But one thing we have got to acknowledge is that offenses in the modern era are changing. Your tight ends are doing more and more, and they are more and more flexible because they can give defenses headaches. One thing we acknowledged whenever Tommy Rees was hired to Alabama is that he utilized the tight ends at Notre Dame really well, whether that was using 11 personnel or 12 personnel. And in fact, whenever he was hired, I pointed all of you to the Clemson game where Notre Dame expertly switched between 11 and 12 personnel to keep that Clemson defense on their heels, a defense that historically likes to be on their toes. They like to pin their ears back, they like to play aggressive, and Tommy Rees took that away from them. Now, I understand before anybody comments it, and you will be correct if you do comment it, Tommy Rees will run Alabama's offense. Fair. But all of these Alabama offensive coordinators have put a little spin on the offense. Whenever Bill O'Brien was hired by Alabama, I was just getting started into my YouTube journey. And the first thing we talked about is, will he implement the route modification system that he has become so famous for at the NFL level? The answer was yes, he did. He implemented parts of it. I think Tommy Rees is going to implement more tight end play, which is exciting because when you look at the tight ends currently on roster for Alabama, I think they have got a lot of talent, a lot of guys that are going to surprise college football fans everywhere. I think Caleb Odom can instantly add into that room, can instantly be a mismatch, and that's exactly what these modern offenses are doing with the tight end position. So this is a very exciting addition, but what does this mean for the Crimson Tide recruiting class? Well, they now find themselves within the top 5 recruiting classes in the nation, coming in at number 5. But interesting to note, they have the fewest number of commitments within the top 5, having 14. In fact, they're the only recruiting class in the top 15 classes in the nation that can boast having less than 15 commits. They are one of 2 classes in the top 20 that can boast that same feat, the other being the Texas Longhorns, a team that has really surged here recently up the recruiting ranks. But for the Crimson Tide, when we look at this, they have 3 5-stars, a 5-star quarterback, a 5-star wide receiver. They have got a lot of talented offensive linemen, a lot of talented defensive linemen. The tight end win they just got, I think, is phenomenal. And even when we look at the 3 stars, they have got a lot of hidden gems. A linebacker that even Nick Saban said if he was playing in America, he'd be a 5-star, and Justin Okoronkwo, who's a part of PPI Recruits, headed by Brandon Collier, something I talk about at length here on the channel because I think it's so awesome. Look into it if you haven't. But this Alabama recruiting class is phenomenal. It's a lot of room left to go, which is awesome, especially when you find yourself in the top 5 recruiting classes in the nation. And some of those other classes, they're pretty full. They're getting close to capacity, or at least much closer than the Crimson Tide is to capacity, and that's one thing you have got to love. The other thing, and the last thing we will end on, is that Alabama finds themselves with the highest average recruit rank in the nation, coming in at a 93.68. So once again, just really painting the picture of how elite this Alabama class is. Though they may not have the numbers of other classes within the top 15, remember the lowest number of commits in the top 15 classes in the nation. What they do have in this class is spectacular, and it will only continue to grow, and we will be here to talk about it all. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.